What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are back going to be talking about Survivor season 43, the penultimate episode of season 43, episode 12. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and this episode we saw fallen angel Cody. Rest in peace.
Oh my gosh. I feel like this is why we watch this show. Even after 43 seasons, like people say, why do you keep watching this show over and over? Isn't it the same thing every single season? Doesn't it get boring every single season of the same thing? But no, I feel like this episode, my jaw was on the floor. I was so excited, stressed, nervous at the end. It was a fun episode, I thought.
Yeah, I felt so bad for Cody. I didn't want to like him, but I do like him. And so it was kind of sad to see him go. It was sad to see him backstabbed by his closest ally. His um post vote out confessional was really funny. So yeah.
Yeah, a like complete 180. I feel like preseason, the cast assessment, I feel like both of us were like, oh yeah, Cody's probably pre-merge. He's probably going to be annoying on the TV. So a very pleasant surprise to, change so many people's perceptions of you from that photo and those preseason interviews.
Yeah, I guess it's like we've all known someone who's just like a little bit too over the top. So I think it was good to see that Cody, wasn't that in a bad way.
So we start this episode off and we learn a little bit about why Carla switched her vote last week and she voted for Sammy instead of the original plan was to trick Carla. Carla would vote for Cassidy. Carla would look out of the loop to the jury, but we saw last week that she did switch her vote and voted Sammy with everyone else, which this was a little bit confusing to me. It was weird reasoning about why she flipped her vote, basically saying, oh, I'm going to flip my vote because Sammy announced he was going to play Shot in the Dark, which doesn't really make sense, I don't think.
Yeah, I would think if someone said they were going to play their shot in the dark, you would want to throw a vote on someone other than them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe the logic is she can't then say, like, oh, Cass, it wasn't me who voted for you. Sammy was the one who threw the vote on you. So
It was sort of weird because it was Cassidy versus Sammy last time, and so we saw Carla, she's pushing for Cassidy to go. Maybe the men were on board, but then we see the men, Cody, Jesse, they flip to vote Sammy out. But if Carla thinks it's a vote split between Cass and Sammy, where Cassidy's the one going home, flipping her vote to Sammy doesn't necessarily matter because I guess like if he's safe from Shot in the Dark, Cassidy would still go. I guess it's what you're saying. She could lie and say, oh no, Cassidy, I didn't vote for you. I want you to be here. There's no rift between us. But also, if your reasoning is, hey, I want to vote Sammy because he's saying he's going to play Shot in the Dark to protect against the Shot in the Dark, you should put your vote on someone else. So it seems like they just made up this reasoning, which doesn't really make sense, but there's actually some deeper reasoning there that would be too hard to explain on the TV.
yeah, or maybe she just made a bad move and had bad reasoning because sometimes people's justifications for things don't make sense. So
Yeah. Or does she think, like, is she confused? Why did everyone else vote Sammy too? Like, if she flipped to vote Sammy because of the Shot in the Dark announcement, does she think everyone else also flipped to vote Sammy because of the Shot in the Dark announcement too? Like, shouldn't she come back to camp asking people, why did you flip your vote? Why was it unanimous on Sammy?
I don't know. I feel like there was something that we didn't see there, but it's okay because I feel like this episode, the screen time was spent on more interesting things than Carla's justification for the Sammy vote.
Yeah, I guess overall, it sort of just means Carla is sort of getting a negative edit right now. I thought this introduction scene was very interesting because Owen was narrating it, and we've seen Owen narrate a lot of the season thus far, just talking about things, talking through things. So I thought that was interesting. And then this episode, the first thing we hear, Owen says that he wants to drive a wedge between Carla and Cassidy, and that's something to note. And then we also see Owen telling Cassidy, hey, Carla wanted to vote you last time.
Yeah, this whole situation with Carla and Cassidy got so messy so quick. I was here for it. Like, it was.
Carla used literal like manipulation tactics when her and Cassidy are talking through things, and Cassidy's like, oh, I hear you're voting for me. Carla basically flips everything back onto Cassidy. Oh, why don't you trust me? Your body language. And then she starts fake crying here. I was like, this is literal manipulation tactics that people use in real life here. You just flip it on the person.
I think it's so funny though because these manipulation tactics don't end up working at all. Like Cassidy still has like red flags, and then Carla's like, "Go talk to Jesse. He'll tell you." And then Cassidy goes to Jesse, and you know what Jesse says? You know what Jesse says? He says, "No, that's totally right. Carla did want to vote for you." I was like, "Oh my god, Jesse, what a messy bitch." So, yeah.
It's just it's so like funny, awkward because yeah, Jesse says, "Oh, everything that anyone is telling you, Cassidy, about Carla is true." So I feel like it's just dunking on Carla in the edit. You have this negative tone, like, "Oh, Carla thinks that she can trust Jesse." No, Jesse just dunked on her with Cassidy. Jesse didn't actually vouch for you, Carla, that you thought you could go tell Cassidy to go smooth things over by talking with him. It's like such a big rift between the women here.
Yeah, it was spicy. So I think it was good because Jesse acknowledged that he wanted there to be a rift between the two of them, and I feel like there is, even if it didn't end up really playing out this time around. I love it.
Drama between the women. So we get to the reward challenge. It is a throwback challenge similar to last week. This ball rolling tied up challenge is famous because of Russell Swan. He was medevaced from this challenge in Samoa. And so the winners of this challenge, they get to go to the sanctuary. You get donuts, croissants, pastries, muffins, coffee. And I thought this was overall a fun challenge. Like, it's a throwback. It's similar to other challenges that we usually see. Okay, do some obstacle course and do some kind of puzzle or maze at the end, but it's different because it's more physical. It's a throwback challenge. So I like these throwbacks.
I do like the throwback challenges. I would have liked, a brand new challenge even more, but at least this wasn't just like an endurance challenge or something. So, yeah.
So the two teams here, we got blue team is Owen, Cody, and Carla. The red team is Cassidy, Jesse, and Gabler. I thought it was interesting. We talked about this last week. The tribe going into here at 6, it's 2-2-2 from the original teams. And here for the reward challenge, it's 1-1-1, 1-1-1. So literally this random draw split all the pairs into separating them. I'm like, what are the chances of that? That is wild. There's not even one OG pair together here.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but I feel like mathematically it's probably not as unlikely as we think it would be. Because, like, there's a 1 in 2 chance that person A gets put on the same team, on one team, and then a 2 in 6 chance or 2 in 5 chance that person B gets put on the same team. So it's like, it's not as small as you would think that they would get put on different teams, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But, the last time that I did math was like 3 years ago, so someone who's smarter than me, I'm sure, has already figured this out.
Yeah, hopefully it is just lucky possible and not okay, like production interference and they gave okay, Jesse and Cody, you get 2 rocks. One is going to red and one is going to blue to purposefully try to split up each of the OG pairs and like, okay, Carla and Cassidy, one of you is going to red, one of you is blue, but hopefully it's like, okay, 6 rocks are in a bag, 3 are blue, 3 are red, and it's actually random to create these teams. And it just so happened, okay, it was 1-1-1 on each team.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I feel like, especially because the pairs aren't super solid anymore, they would not do it that way, but.
Yeah, you'd hope, I guess. So the two teams, this was a fun challenge because it was interesting to see, okay, Owen's team, since he was the caller, Cassidy's team, because she was the caller, Owen's team was in the lead. And because they had more time, Owen gets his teammates to orient himself straight up to do the maze puzzle at the end versus Cassidy, who's trailing. She is like literally craned at such an odd angle that has got to hurt your neck when she's like half crunching craned neck to look at the maze.
Yeah, that. You would think that she would be like, hey, can you like roll me a little bit more so that I can see the maze easier? But.
No time to waste. And Cassidy, you need all those seconds. And she actually caught up on the maze part. It looked really, really close at the end of this challenge, which was an exciting thing. Like you saw both balls sort of circling that end hole. So it was really like stressful at the end there. They were both so close.
I wonder how, like, if they were actually close or not, just because I feel like a lot of times in the past, people have said, like, oh, it wasn't as close as they edited it to be, and they just edited it to look super close for, like, pizzazz or whatever. And it's like, if you only have two teams, you kind of have to edit it to make it seem close. Otherwise, it's kind of a boring challenge to watch.
Yeah, that's true. I guess with this kind of camera angle, you don't necessarily see both of the teams close to the end hole at once, but I feel like because this maze, it's not one where like the ball falls in a hole and you have to restart over. So at least both teams made it to the that end area and both teams were in that like one square where the end hole was. So it seems like, both would have to get there. And once you're in that end hole, you're not going to like teleport back to the beginning, where like other challenges that are like puzzle mazes like this, your ball can fall off the course and you'd have to restart, where then they might edit it. Oh, a previous time you got to the end was not this real time here.
Yeah, I don't know though. So maybe they accidentally navigated out of the end area. I don't know. I was thinking about that as we watched because we never got any like side by side shot. So
Cassidy used those manifestation skills to manifest the ball to teleport, I think.
obviously.
So blue team wins, and that is Owen, Cody, and Carla's team. They get to go to the sanctuary, and we see Cody eating all of the sweets and chugging all of the coffee, and that is an oh no, uh-oh, sadness time. Cody in his exit interviews was saying that he like either wished he didn't win this reward challenge or he wished he didn't eat so much and drink so much coffee at the challenge, because then the next day he had such a big crash, his brain wasn't working, he was extra tired, he wasn't thinking straight, and he thinks that sort of led to him making mistakes before he got voted out.
Yeah, I felt so bad for Cody. I think I knew pretty early on in the episode that he was going to go home because he made so many comments about like, I'm doing so great in this game, and that's the exact kind of thing that happened to Ellie before she went home, where she was like, oh yeah, I'm the best, I'm doing great, blah 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 blah. So yeah, I think it's sad too because you would think people would learn by now about, on food challenges, don't binge that hard. Because I feel like we also see people like making themselves sick where they end up like puking all night or having diarrhea, where it's like caffeine can mess you up, especially if you've been detoxed on caffeine for like 25 days. So, Cody, my man, I understand why you did it, but
It could have been worse. He could have got medevaced from eating too much. At least it wasn't a steak reward. I thought it was really cute, though, all of the scenes of Cody dancing after the fact when he went back to camp. And it was like that meme of photos taken moments before disaster. It's like, okay, screenshot Cody drinking and eating so much. Ah, screenshot next is him getting voted out.
Yeah.
But we hear from the losers of the challenge back at camp, are I guess the winners of the challenge. We see Carla saying, "Oh, I don't have an idol." We get more of that telenovela music here, similar to when Carla and Cassidy were talking through things. Carla here is fake crying again. But here, Owen and Cody say, "I believe her. I don't think she has an idol."
I feel so bad for like knowing that she's playing them and watching them like it just fall for it. Just ugh. It kind of makes sense though because they've kind of been positing like Jesse and Cody. Like Jesse's the mastermind and Cody's like the social butterfly of the duo. So
I feel like for me, this scene with the music and Carla fake crying, and then in confessional, like, yeah, I'm totally playing these people, was sort of me seeing, oh, the edit is dunking on her again. Okay, it's joking with her. Yeah, it's cute and fun. She did the call out to the music, and the music is in the background, but I feel like it's not in a good way compared to like Owen when he says, I want my name to be in like I want the intro package, and he gets the intro package, or Owen saying, oh, there's so many advantages and I don't have one in my Chiron, and then it shows the Chirons for everyone else. I feel like for me, this shows the edit is dunking on her more.
yeah. I guess I didn't even notice that part. So next time if I rewatch this episode again, I'll have to look for that.
Yeah, so back at camp, the losers, Cassidy, and this is another thing, like the juxtaposition of Carla saying she's lying and doing so great, juxtaposed to back at camp, Cassidy's telling Jesse and Gabler, no, Carla has an idol. And so it's just like, okay, Cassidy spilled the beans here. Everyone's going to know Carla actually has an idol.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those things where Carla was worried about Cassidy spilling the beans, but then she didn't do a good enough job convincing Cass. And then Jesse also like has a hand in knowing that Carla has an idol. So that got real messy. Again, I love some messiness in the Survivor finale. Or almost finale. Pre-finale, let's say. So yeah, I feel like the juxtaposition was
True. In this segment, also, we get Gabler having another confessional about hiding in plain sight. Take a shot every time he says that, or some version similar to that, because it's like every single episode now he's talking about being underwater, being the alligabler, hiding in plain sight. And in this confessional, he talks about winning the game again, which I thought was interesting because we've talked about, okay, that's like a winner confessional. If you're going to go on and win the season, you want to have some kind of winner confessional throughout the season. And so I just think that's something to note going into the finale, that Gabler continuously says this water stuff, this hiding in plain sight stuff.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I wonder if maybe they're trying to like hype Gabler up as like an actual final tribal council contender. Because I feel like sometimes people get dragged to final tribal as a goat, and it's not really interesting as a viewer because you kind of know like, oh, they respect Jesse the most, and Gabler is kind of a dodo. So I feel like maybe they're trying to Gabler's going to be in the final tribal. He might be the final tribal loser, but they're trying to make it seem like it's not just going to be a Jesse blowaway. So
that would be interesting to see as well next week. We see here Gabler is planting the seed to Jesse and Cassidy, the losers of the reward, saying, okay, Jesse and Cass, you two are in a tight duo, but Cody and Carla are the two that are going to get more credit in your duos, which I also thought was very fascinating because if Jesse doesn't make it to the end of the game, say Jesse goes at 4, Gabler, I think, could try to take credit for this Cody move here and say, okay, I'm Gabler. I was the one that planted the seeds to get Jesse to want to flip on Cody. I was the first person. And we're seeing this in the edit here. It seems like it's something of note that we see Gabler is the first one to say, yeah, Jesse, Cody is the one that's going to get more votes. Yeah, Cass, Carla is the one that's going to get more votes. And then in the next confessional Jesse has, he says, yeah, Gabler is right. Cody is more vocal. He's more out there. I'm more quiet. And so if Gabler can twist his words, I think he could try to take credit for some of this Jesse versus Cody move.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think the idea that people would have definitely voted for Cody over Jesse, I'm not sure that I believe it. But, I do think that I don't think that Gabler will get a lot of credit for this move just because we saw in the tribal council when Cody got voted out. I forget who it was, but someone on the jury said Jesse did it. And so I feel like any chance Gabler would have had at getting credit was kind of smashed by that moment where like everyone watching was like, no, Jesse was the one who did it. So
That's true. That's why I think, when we go into the finale, if Jesse can make it to the end, he probably wins, but that's why maybe people are going to gun for him. Final 5, he'd be safe with Janine's idol. Final 4, Fire. I could see someone maybe throwing themselves in to go against Jesse in Fire after if Jesse does play Janine's idol at 5, he would be the obvious front runner to win the game. If you even wanted, a chance at the million, you would have to go into Fire to get him out. And like we've talked about, it seems like people do respect Gabler, that it could be the case if Jesse's not in Final 3, Gabler could say like all this underwater metaphor stuff and be like, yeah, I was the person that was telling these people XYZ and try to take credit for things, especially if, that front runner isn't in the finale.
yeah, I guess it depends on how good of a talker Gabler is.
True. So we see Cody say, money makes people do funny things. And I thought that was ironic, sort of funny, sad, given how the rest of the episode continues.
Yeah, it was kind of sad, but I'm still a little emotionally hurt by it all.
So we go to the immunity challenge. It is a big obstacle course, and there is a bat puzzle at the end of it. They have to go over these A-frame cargo nets, and I hate cargo nets like this. I'm like, people are going to hurt themselves. I'd be so scared to go on cargo nets on Survivor. It just looks so dangerous.
Yeah. I feel like we had this conversation before, maybe during a season of South Africa. But
Yeah.
like, oh my god, those cargo nets. No. That bat puzzle at the end though, that looked amazing. So I really liked the puzzle on this one, but I wish they would have cut out the cargo nets.
I think it could be one to DIY. It was a pretty even challenge at the end there. There weren't like super stragglers, previous seasons there's like one person that always just like sucks at challenges who's never ever at the end with everyone else. But all of these people got to the puzzle portion and it seemed pretty close between Cassidy, Carla, and Cody at the end there. And really sad for Carla though. She starts to have these muscle spasms and then she can't physically do the puzzle anymore. And I feel like that has got to be just so scary to have your body shut down like that you physically cannot do this puzzle.
Yeah, that would be really hard, especially just because like the puzzle is supposed to be the physically easy part, and so to like have something physical going on where you can't do it, just again though, I do kind of wonder about like how much of it was hyped up, edited together, spliced in such a way, but I guess I just have trust issues.
Yeah, who hurt you, Alyssa?
I don't know. I feel like in Winners at War when they did the like fight to get back into the game thing, and later it was revealed that it was never even a competition who was going to get back into the game. I was kind of like, oh, it's never gonna be the same for me. So
The magic of TV, Alyssa. You got to just watch through, your rose-colored lenses. So it seems like it was pretty close between Cassidy and Cody at the end. But that one actually seemed like it was pretty close. Cody got the puzzle like 2 seconds seemingly after Cassidy won the challenge. And for this puzzle, I do wonder, are you allowed to put the puzzle pieces on the floor and dump out your basket to like visualize all the pieces better? Because everyone was just digging in that tiny basket to find their pieces. I feel like it'd be so much easier if you stuck them on the floor, you could look at them, but everyone was just digging.
I wonder if part of it is you don't want other people to be able to see your pieces and see how close you are or see how they fit together. Where if you're really paranoid, then you don't want to give anyone else a leg up.
And so in the challenge, also, Jeff says Jesse's the only person not to win an immunity challenge thus far. And I feel like maybe it could be foreshadowing. Maybe Jesse can win Final Five or Final Four immunity and get to the end somehow. Or maybe it's just Jeff just pointing out, hey, Jesse, you sort of suck at challenges.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's interesting because maybe they were trying to point out, like, oh, you don't need to be good at challenges to make it to the end if you're social enough. But I don't know.
I guess like the Tommy strategy. You don't need to win anything and you don't need to, find advantages.
I guess. But Jesse, does indeed just find advantages. So
That's true. That's an interesting thing about Jesse. He has not found an advantage or an idol, but now he has flushed 2 idols and has gotten another idol, but he's not found any of these things. So I guess it's sort of like Tommy, except, Jesse hasn't found it. He's just gotten them or used the knowledge. Knowledge is power, I guess.
I guess.
So Cassidy wins the immunity challenge, which is awesome for her and sort of basically saves herself because she is one of the people that doesn't have an advantage up her sleeve. And so after the challenge, we see Cody and Carla potentially team up. And just on face value, I feel like a Cody Carla team up could be a good plan. You are the 2 people that have known idols. It's sort of like a meat shield strategy. Okay, we're the strong ones. We have the advantages. Let's team up so they can't flush the idols and we can save them until Final 5. Makes sense. It would be good on paper, but also like strong arming people like they were. And then here Carla is also going on about like, we're going to threaten them. And then that I feel like that's going to make people mad that it's not going to be a good plan.
Yeah, I feel like this plan would have been a good one if it was more subtle, but I feel like neither Cody nor Carla have been really good at subtle. And then obviously the plan doesn't actually go through because Cody is planning to backstab Carla and then Jesse is planning to backstab Cody. So
Cody pulls out the Uno reverse and Cody goes to tell Owen, no, that whole plan of Carla telling you, strong arming you, that's fake. We are going to get Carla out, which I thought was interesting. We see Cody telling Owen first. Last week, we saw Owen and Jesse talking. Jesse told Owen the plan to blindside Sammy first. Here, we see this happen first. It's very interesting to see, okay, Owen is having these social bonds compared to, oh, Owen is not voting correctly. Owen's out of the loop. Now people are bringing him into the loop, and they're the first person we're seeing them tell. So I thought that was something to note.
I wonder how much of it is that like Owen is seen as a non-entity to win, where like you don't worry about giving someone information if you never worry that they're going to be able to use that information against you. But I don't know if that's the case or not, but I agree that it was a really quick reversal where Owen, it seemed like, was dead in the water, and now he's once again like the person that everyone goes to, kind of stepping into that narrator role. So
yeah, I think it is fascinating to see Cody. He gets all of the men on board to vote out Carla. And then Jesse, Uno reverses again. And Jesse is like, ooh, if Cody makes this plan to vote out Carla. Not good for me. Cody's going to get the credit, which 100% makes sense. We see Jesse here get emotional, talking about how much he loves Cody. They've bonded so much, but he's not sure if he can beat Cody at the end. And this really reminded me of, okay, the NECA vote, where Jesse is emotional about voting NECA out because she reminds him of his late mother. And I was like, uh-oh. This is not good for Cody.
Yeah, I feel like Cody's fate kind of got sealed, but I feel like the best part about this episode wasn't who got voted out, it's that 2 of the 3 idols are gone, because I feel like we saw this play out, kind of what we were saying last week, about how people like kind of assume that people with idols are immune just because they don't want to waste their vote on someone who's going to like nullify it with an idol. And so I feel like getting that kind of, out of the way, getting some of the idols out so that 5 will be a cleaner vote is definitely a good thing that happened this episode.
I agree. Last week we were nervous. Oh, an advantage get-in might happen. This might suck. Literally, okay, only Cassidy, Owen, and Gabler could be up for elimination because everyone else has idols. And then if one of them wins immunity, like Cassidy, literally only Owen and Gabler can receive votes. So I'm glad though. Okay, we flushed some of these things. So next week we'll hopefully only have one advantage. Hopefully they're not hiding any more idols in the forest for the final 5 votes. So I think that is a good thing. We see Jesse tell Owen, also telling Owen first again, based on the edit. Jesse tells Owen, hey, I have Cody's idol. I am still holding on to it. But, Cody asks Jesse for the idol so he can show Carla the idol. But we don't know, did Cody give the idol back to Jesse? Does Cody still have the idol? Was the plan ruined here? And so it seems like from the exit interviews with Cody, here Jesse did something really great gameplay as well, where Jesse got in Cody's head thinking that, someone, potentially Carla, has the knowledge's power. It was put back into the game. Someone has it and they might use it against you, Cody. So, let me hold on to your idol. And Cody was saying that Jesse never asked him for the idol back. So Cody had no reason to be suspicious. He didn't even think like, yeah, why wouldn't I give the idol back? I'm giving it to you to hold as a show of trust of our brotherhood. So I feel like that's just a super subtle thing that Jesse did. That was like a super awesome gameplay move to have this plan work.
Yeah, that was super awesome gameplay move. I was thrilled. I feel like that it took me in circles. So I was happy to be like kind of, I wouldn't say uncircled at the end, but it was like really clever. I feel like it really showed the bond that Jesse and Cody had, that they were able to like have this conversation. So like it was great. I liked it.
I think Jesse is right. If Cody got his way here and they did vote Carla out, Cody gets all the credit here. It's a huge resume booster. Cody has his idol going into Final 5, so Cody's basically safe until Final 4. Maybe you could try to blindside him at Final 5 with his idol, a similar play as they did here, but it makes no sense to not play your idol at Final 5. And so people on the island are saying, yeah, Jesse's quieter. Maybe he would be seen as Cody's right-hand person, the number 2, where Cody would get more of the credit. And so I think it makes sense here. Like for Jesse, this would be the last time to try to make a move against Cody. Otherwise, Cody would sort of be safe until Final 4 because of that idol. So it makes sense, even if Jesse was emotional about it.
Yeah. Poor emotional Jesse.
So we get to Tribal Council. I feel like this is another good thing for Jesse. At Tribal Council, Jesse is really good at like playing himself down, sort of like, I'm small, I'm not really playing the game, but in a way that people hopefully know that he's playing the game, and he's good at keeping secrets. So like at Tribal Council, we hear Jesse continuously say, yeah, these 2 have idols, Cassidy is safe, so me, Gabler, and Owen are the only 3 up for votes tonight. Jesse obviously knows that's not true because he has an idol, and so Jesse's saying things like, yeah, I'm not into position to call anyone's idol bluffs right now. He keeps on bringing up this social contract. And so I'm like, okay, these are the little things Jesse is doing that like makes him seem smaller than he really is, or like worse at the game, not playing the game.
Yeah, and I guess did Cody even know that Jesse had the idol that had once been Janine's that was given to Dwight? Because
I guess
we talk all the time about people, calling out people's advantages as they're leaving, and it's like Cody said in his post vote out confessional, like "fuck you, Jesse." So I wonder if he knew about that and could have like ruined Jesse's game with that idol knowledge, or if it would kind of just be too late.
True. I guess we don't know. Seemingly from the edit, no one else knows about the Janine, Dwight, Jesse idol now besides Jesse, it seems.
That's spicy.
Yeah, so Jesse's cutthroat move works out. You use your bestie's idol to vote them out with it while flushing 2 idols in the process at the final 6. I'm like, this is chef's kiss. Great.
This is a resume builder for sure.
Literally. Oh, you think, oh, quiet Jesse, he's not doing anything here. He's just sitting there and he's quiet. Oh. This just skyrockets your resume. Everyone should be afraid of him now going into Final 5.
Which is perfect because he might get votes at Final 5 because he's such a threat. Like, he has that idol where, like, he could single-handedly determine the Final 5 vote if he wanted to.
Yes, that would be such amazing TV. Like, if he kept it a secret, people are trying to vote for him. He's acting all sad, like, please don't vote for me. Like, I just want to stay another day. And then, bammo, Jeff, I have another idol, and it's the yellow idol because that was Janine's idol. And then, shocked faces from everyone in the crowd.
Yeah.
I'm like, this just is so interesting to see. Okay, this strong duo together since the start, OG tribe, where one flips on the other. I feel like this would be okay if Dom flipped on Wendell or if Steven flipped on JT. Seeing strong couples like this where one does end up flipping on the other is just so fascinating. Or like a cutthroat move like Ty not giving this half of the super idol to let Scott stay, but like also you weren't really rooting for him to use the super idol there. So it's like here, oh, you like both Jesse and Cody. You wouldn't want this to happen, but it's like such an extra cutthroat move because you like all of the people involved.
Exactly. Yeah. So I guess we talked a lot about the Final 5. Do you want to move on to predictions about next episode?
Yeah, I feel like one last thing with tribal council at the end, Jesse stands up, he goes in for the handshake. It just, you gotta watch this in slow-mo. I feel like Cody is like shooketh, steps back, and you're like, he raises his hand. Oh, Cody's not that guy to like punch someone, but someone else could have easily just punched Jesse there and then been removed from the game. And then for Jesse to go in and do that handshake, I was like, wow, this is so tense.
Yeah, it was such the music in the background also, like you really did wonder whether or not Jesse was gonna like get the forgiveness from Cody or not.
Yeah, and I'm like taking that credit, saying you're sorry, doing it in front of the jury. That's a huge kudos resume booster. Cody, I feel like you wouldn't want to do this kind of move on someone that would be super butthurt about it, where they would go to the jury and poison the jury against you and say super negative and rude things about you to the jury. But Cody, even though he's probably working through a lot of things at this moment and probably like questioning a lot of things and being mad at himself for letting himself get voted out like this, he's the kind of guy with that, live-in tattoo on his butt that like wouldn't necessarily take it out on you right at that moment or poison the jury against you.
Yeah. So I guess that's also a good thing about like Cody, but then also this season in particular, not a lot of people are butthurt. So
Yeah, unless post-season it comes out like last season where there's a lot of drama at Ponderosa.
I guess we'll never know because we're not going to see Ponderosa, are we?
Yeah, the postseason interviews. But alas, finale predictions, Alyssa. Final, I guess, do you say who you think's going out at final five, and then we can go from there?
That's going to be so difficult because I feel like there's a lot of different ways that this can go, and it depends a lot on Carla and Cassidy and how willing or how unwilling they are to work together. Because I feel like one of the things that we heard a lot of was like the four guys tried to get together to take out one of the girls. And I feel like that's kind of been a thing where Carla and Cassidy have been gunning for each other for a while. So I feel like one of them is probably going to go out at five. I feel like it's probably going to be Carla. But then also, that's kind of what they said was going to happen this week. And people never follow their plans from like day to day, week to week. So I guess if I had to say, I would say probably Carla going out at five, Owen going out at four, and then Jesse, Cassidy, Gabler as the final three. But I don't know, partially because I think the fire makes it so difficult because you don't know. Like, the only thing that we've heard about fire this season was that no one wanted to go to fire with Sammy. And now that Sammy's out, it's kind of like, I don't really have a read on who's good or bad at fire. And so I don't really have a read on who would do well or do poorly at the final four of fire. And so even if I could say who would win the final four immunity, I couldn't say who would win the final four fire. So
Yeah,
I
they're
feel like,
keeping fire secret.
yeah, I think part of that might be because people like read into comments about fire like a lot.
Mm.
And so they don't want to like put something in that isn't that doesn't they don't want to put down a Chekhov's gun that isn't fired, but they also don't want to like foreshadow too much too far in advance. But I guess with my guess that Owen is going out at four, I could see Owen winning the immunity and then deciding that he needs a resume boost because he was on the bottom for so long and being like, I'm going to do fire to be my resume boost and then failing at it. So, and then maybe that's Allie Gabler's moment where he kind of, his stock goes up at the final three and he wins at fire against Owen. And that's what kind of boosts him a little bit. Jesse still wins, but Gabler gets a vote. Maybe Cassidy is a 0 vote finalist. I don't know for sure though. A lot of people on Edgic seem to be split between whether Jesse or Cassidy is going to be the winner. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we could see a Chris Underwood style Final Four fire making challenge where if Jesse's there, someone's going to probably maybe throw themselves into fire. And I could see Gabler, okay, with all of the water talk, oh, I'm underwater, now's my time to strike. He might decide to throw himself into fire or volunteer to go against fire with Jesse to try to get Jesse out to get that resume boost. Similar to you for Final Five, though, I think one of the women is probably going there between Carla and Cassidy. It seems like it's building up to have Carla go at Final Five, but I feel like for like the men and specifically Jesse, I would keep Carla around and vote Cassidy out at Final Five because we've seen now Carla, even though she has won immunity challenges, she twisted her ankle this episode. She's got her hurt hand, and now she has a hurt ankle. She's double injured, and Cassidy also has won immunity, but she's not injured at all. So I would personally, if I were there, be like, okay, we should vote out the stronger challenge competitor, where maybe Owen could go at five as well, because we've seen Owen is good at challenges. But if the men are sticking together, sort of like we've seen a little bit, they'd probably target Cass or Carla, where it seems like with the edit, okay, Carla's going first, but I feel like they should vote Cassidy out because she's better at challenges to free up that final four, especially for Jesse, who hasn't won anything.
Yeah, poor Jesse. But also, I feel like Jesse could make kind of a make a thing of that. Like, I didn't need immunity to win, and maybe use that to dunk on Cassidy, where it's like Cass only survived final five because she won immunity, and we were going to vote her out then. So I
Well,
don't
I
know.
guess, yeah, for me, it's more of you should vote out the challenge threat so that Jesse could win, because if Jesse doesn't win at Final Four, he's probably going into fire. But okay, you have two chances to save yourself and be immune. for someone like that, I would want to get out the challenge threats to you so you could potentially win, because after Jesse, if he does play the idol next week, maybe no one's targeting him and he doesn't even need to play the idol. But if he does play Janine's idol, everyone's going to be targeting him at Final Four. You would want the like less physically competent people there to maybe have you win at Final Four compared to like having someone super strong like Jonathan win at Final Four or something like that. But
I mean, I guess it also depends on whether or not you believe that you can win over whoever's left. Like, Jesse might think, like, oh, even if I vote Cass out, Owen will still win over me at Final Four, so might as well vote out the easy vote, or vote out, vote out someone who's not going to decrease my chances of winning.
yeah, so for me, I see like as winner potential list, Jesse probably, if he goes to the end with anyone, Jesse wins. Carla, this is a little bit more questionable because I don't necessarily see her making it to the final three, and she's starting to get a negative edit where anyone sitting next to her at the final three could be like, yeah, Carla's been left out of the last few votes. She was voting incorrectly. She was left out of that blindside vote. She flushed her idol when she didn't need to. Her finger, like she didn't have the pulse of the game post merge, and then they could use that against her. So that's more questionable. But I feel like for the 4 people that could make it to the final 3, I would say Jesse wins against everyone. Maybe Cass in that second spot where she would beat Owen and Gabler. Gabler in that third spot, and then Owen in that last spot where Owen might lose against everyone. But I feel like next week, if Owen does win, I feel like I could see an Owen win as well. I could see any of these 5 people winning, but if Owen does win, then I'll explain my thoughts next week about that.
I feel like part of it has to do with who would be a good final tribal closer. Like, the example I always bring up is Amanda Kimmel, just because I feel like she is like the quintessential chokes at final tribal. Because it's like she got to final tribal council 2 seasons in a row, and she managed to screw up both times. And so I feel like if you have like Amanda Kimmel level skills, it doesn't matter who you go up against. Even if you go up against someone who's less worthy than you, if they can talk a better talk. And I feel like for me, like Gabler strikes me as someone who like wouldn't be a very good talker at Final Tribal. I feel like Owen might not be the best talker at Final Tribal. So, yeah.
Interesting. I could see Gabler being a fine talker because of the whole like medical sales stuff, similar to Cody being a salesperson. I feel like if you're in sales, like Cody said, you have to be able to talk. So if Gabler does do a lot of talking to sell like the medical equipment, maybe he could do a sales pitch here. Owen being a super fan, I would say hopefully has practiced or maybe has practiced speeches like this, considering how big of a fan he is. So I would say I would have more faith in them than you maybe.
I feel like it's one of those things where Owen, because he's like such a super fan, would get so excited about like being at Final Tribal, and then all of the stuff that was practiced out of the head.
Yeah, so I'm excited though for next week. I like all 5 of these people have some kind of argument to say if they can spin it well and they could persuade the jury to vote in their favor. I'm like, this is an exciting final 5. There's not, someone that sucks or that's a super goat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still really confused about Gabler's edit, just because in the beginning he was edited as such a dodo, and they seem to have really been pulling back on that. So I'm confused if we're still supposed to think he's a dodo or not.
Yeah, Alyssa, a couple weeks ago, you were like, Gabler's 0% chance to win the game. Imagine. Reddit will go crazy next week if Gabler wins.
If Gabler wins, I quit Survivor.
So I'm so excited, though. I can't believe it. Another season is almost done.
Yeah, I feel like this one's been a good one. I always like to wait until I see the winner to decide where a season ranks in my rankings, but I feel like this one's solid.
Yeah, so I'm excited for next week. It'll be episode 13 next week, which feels low, but it's the
An
end.
auspicious number. Let us know in the comments down below what you thought of this episode. Did you think it was a good idea for Jesse to backstab Cody? Let us know who you think is going to be going in 5th place, 4th place, and who's going to make it to the final tribal council next episode. And as always, leave us your winner picks for the last time this season. And let us know all this and more in the comments down below. And